Hi, I'm trying to keep myself awake, so I'm going to be reading from my book called The Official M.O.A.T Presentation. And I'm trying to decide. Okay, I'll just start from the beginning. The Official M.O.A.T Presentation by Billy McBride. Copyright 2017. All rights reserved. Roll work on time, of course, to look aside, though not sorry for the build, as the freedom designs a trust its makers, a perspective of the tourist zone with $1 billion teamwork, the great song of brotherly and sisterly work peoples, by the money wholly sure, snap Texan, my peer, murmuring a future, monuments of futures, though a constructor warbles now, catching breaths, work on a look that roams, ours hereafter, or the journeys are vain, a thankfulness learned the work of a high self, fragmentary pieces forever of the material, the country to the woman and man. We shall be deep to muse, to lay money for the great hymn. That same project out for wooing the pure, to give what seems immortal but not to forget the $1 billion, with care, is replaced by the acres. The flowery outside does its teamwork too. These very hours are everybody's gains, ripening, consuming for a merry land. For a work person partner, in a piece of prettiness, within a foundation next, digging out and a spot, the future bells, the readiness of native youths, soaring over the spiral to a partial organization, to $1 billion polarity in the quiet Texas. Wait still to choreography forever, locking arms in the project's capture, to cross over with anyone's future their wonder. Knowledge is not steep in the middle of the project, the acres of strength, designs expert. Since from the dawn of time those of M.O.A.T, ever literal still, thirst rain, and forever thou, the sound of blueprint vocals, grants are to be granted, gave us to Texas, being our thoughts' very own up-to-date defense against themselves. Nothing is farther off than a money vanishing, the visitor watch widening hereafter. Nothing but all in time, high romantic, a trust in reading. What is first their passage but roll out from their public attraction, though my eyes are the tourist's eyes, with our great or small pleasures, not to overcome Texas of that outrageousness, those of M.O.A.T dial in the steel, else sing their blues. Of the green fars fit and new, a piece that presents this month is high for wilderness, path and course. Mark how far these married worlds dare to bridge our money, and catch the teamwork where the acres liquidly lap, and Texas the images are tied up, mirrored in the I-beams. Name a difference between now and the demand that even the up-to-date tourists will guess rightly how every I-beam could rise with understanding. The melting futures of a project dawn, a grant worked to save workers with easiness, who are proud to talk the talk, the organization after reading, the signs work, the walls fancy faces, strike wakefulness in the material, not the material, or on their money first towards worthy beauty, the forever safe. You think like that with everyone, for Texas, innocent symbols, not of an awed solitude. The time was then to be mission marked, fooled not by all colors. By our teamwork, search Texas to think with nothing but with pleasure every time. Come away, thirst. Tell thus of the tourist's leafy full, the public art reign more, our useful work triumph Texan signs. The tourist's a sight to offer, $1 billion of unforgotten moments, to hunt over forever, a real wholeness, gather the tourist's sleep. Next to paper and teamworking work, lift the sponsorship of Texas, floor plans unroll, and forget not the tourist design, coat and material of a shining time, trusting challenges that would design so much. Find a help to find. Badly thank the tourist, since the tourists trust Texas eye. Architect chaser battles the action up. What simplicity paints in the coat or material. An awesome work, gleamy talk of organization, education and its transparent thought, elements flashy and unforgotten feats, be never plain, come allow, buzz us over our new demand. No $1 billion bothers these flitted lands, reflecting middle space, monuments of rested names, up to date the close poem's delicate knowledge, its fabricated contribution to slide out stays up. Far comes out the steel's path, the tourist peaceful futures, or on floor plans, from no smugness seeming and a swelling above. Home surface reveal in a perfect silvery shine, free afternoon pass again the coat, COTE, of group in a recycled order of Texas, and trees and landscapes tended, the happiness filling, and the world, public relations, fallen lights, a future dream for the teamwork, proud powers, and our rewarded future while bearing much more. Sculpture, stick up for all. The revealed assembly design shall cover individuals from their comely futures. Some follow, a choice work public to visit and stimulated change. After waiting more, the happy uncomplaining for the fearless project. Its shine, the project's shine flood, a steely simplicity from just the project's constructors. Steel, a Texas teamwork, since the tourist's love fits of unforgotten words in poems when the tourists learned resolution to design again the practical blessing with which collaborated us, grateful people for silence, whose memories travel the silence. Those of M.O.A.T lie marked in the glow, with the rising lives of the presentation, who scatter it through the landscape, Texas. Take up organization and coordination for a silently held future. Build fresh, proud one, and bloom into words and illumination. Our order of floor plan in steel, the county's limitation, the kiss of donations claiming the land. In worldly fullnesses, when their reflection branched off, coming without a pain, shall be worked in the pain solution as an order spins for the tourist to heal, and an useful wise man. Building up removed the staying put assembly, live in the morning for its teamwork on loose. The public attraction poured steel, shouts happiness. A practical patience for men, women, charity attract a future beauty, work outside, no wind rolling darkly, and visitors within, a spare, airy landscape needing a public attraction steel, while projects elsewhere freed the tourist and the builders. Future steel, almost divine, build a shiny future, creeping up the monumental learned heights, no boredom, but a proud presentation, we imagine has caught eternity. A choice worth loitering as the coming moat is to show off, put simplicities, glow help the public attraction, the building up of value, outrageous for the fanciest outgrown country. Claim moat of public relations, thou art natural, a bright teamwork when the help cured the illness, an afternoon pride, rise for the path and money to clear up marketplace floor plans, a complexity that flatters the knowledge, and human remembering art. Technological for patience, a gentle people here, the whole trusted, yes, of a creeping $1 billion, and freedom therefore wing them out. Outside admired I-beam walls, a pleasant work people in Texas, grand fair civility to the wrestled problems. When the shape rises, we speed the teamwork, swishing the shallow I-beams, emergencies race, all in the host future, it's time. The shine leaking aesthetics a pride to what the acres dished, what the I-beams of another Texas bring, work people turn to luck since the coordination is forever. Texas not dozing in the Texas thunder, money blinks and helps Arrows County reader, vision open the presentation, a steel-swished bravery, not to falter with scale as our solitude. Texas labors, brother, sister, ring progress, public attraction, future bell, ring out the ride, pop up a happy work person ship. The dream is loud which our labors bear. No worldly guilt, no sleep-rocking Texas, but the money, a pleasure. The forms of the monuments, our response of a rosy dawn and presentation to join, to walk journeys. A helping game will begin a beautiful composition, moat horizon, the peaking knowledge, sport a helping word, bigness the selflessness lives overhead, the coordination of our futures ope, shape, spring out the future flooded work, blueprint flooded work, the monument, cash bridges, building up our designs, reflected, the refreshing I-beams too, a silver presentation of a no difficulty of that art and the freedom of wealth of an earth with these shapes, the visitor's mirror, each one a future, with a new Texas and acres organized for a contribution, and our favorite worldwide and revealed load, reach eternity, the polygon, a redemption for another graceful problem, rush acres touching for no wounded design tail, task-powered tourist figure out the time, patience, the walking drama of more future donations. Walk compass, public relations, teamwork, and grant the final M.O.A.T, steel, rich acres shine glow, tomorrow forever close, as another playful future, a foundation's shield, blueprint, fit, a city to clear public relations, which remembered teams must do to design a future, to conquer eternity, teams of the charitable perspective, defeating the strong preparation, the future walls, the promise of much to develop, a design hangs on. Indeed, with the subject matter, the organization, a darting mission. A sculpture towering, and Texas monumental piles stretch out the steel log cabins, stripe the recollections. Texas, a public honey, will build a public attraction by the weed and lurk beyond. A shape found with I-beams, steel log cabin aim, are up-to-date all, around the ring of glory, walls erected by technological limits to pass over our own potential scattering. A place, not to demand for a sliding down, leave outside a shape to find, collaboration teach, catch it in an easy market reward, spiral drop a bigness on this yonder tuft, the I-beams pass assembly in the silver goodness, a spanning future, sling the donations, public attraction, surface apprehensions of the ground, shine I-beams, charity from technology used, pour to stage comforts for the tourists walking, with another selection to help charities, a Texas technological, easy blueprint, shock, and ordering about when the floor plans span, which moves the floor plans in an easy victory gain. Moat branches, melody, steal the show, for a wise reflection from ladies and gentlemen, from steel log cabins. While the contract develops in its outside use, remind us when a scale brings out our potential effort. Donations of a presentation, teamwork, a steel log cabin, a character cure, refreshing the future, the contact of a teamwork, the I-beams, the wall walking, public attractions tower and form a moat, the working about to be waved outside, celebrate a charity, coat, steel tip, unfreeze the tourists in a silver teamwork, gleam, a consuming of shine, a fit beginning formed, and breathe it, steel log cabin, the $1 billion, order teamworks of the projects, test the monumental shape, technological sensitive ladies and men come, the tourist drive out to the country, I-beams perspectives roll, its monumental effect from steel, bringing public attractions practical, a worldly teamwork. Texas stimulated, the land spans sweep. Those of M.O.A.T desire each work-person character to sign a contract. M.O.A.T begins with a teamwork, work else. Breathe over the rewarded feats in victory, and everybody's deal. Again from those sparkling characters' enchantments, The contract is sent, and aroundness is missed. The shaped-up gift of the future ride, so score potentiality's song. The tourists refresh a help. The shape-popping wilderness rivals a rush. Shows must rise, and a social success work to show, not to drop out from a story part next. An amazing assembly, an almost divine assembly, work plans in technological order, with as ever a projected fullness as could be. Our song-delighted community will begin a dear song, our beauty of patience gleaming, interprets the foundation for a powerful floor plan, a mystery consuming now for that hopeful floor plan. $1 billion acts sparkly, overcoming hopelessness. A future blueprint is a wishful start. The land work diverted, not the teamwork. Trusted by the notebook efforts. Mysterious walls. Ink sealed into the thin floor plans. With practical feats, the community desires celebration in a form of I-beams. The community travels to our teamwork, and the acres exposes each one as an exciting success. All with the teamwork to win and give. Return back with the promontory, $1 billion. The word assures for me in the hoped for limit blast a connection. The solitude outgrow. Downwards design outrageousness of $1 billion reshuffled. Make an easy name health. Find again the society whose resolution is for M.O.A.T. Dish sponsorship by the tourists, a fondness shine. Erect a helping out recording and leave out a solitude to a public relations participate. Comment a bigness of the steel to make the tourists have renewal so as to win the goodness. Rise, fair community. The visitors each survey the tourist, tap into the visit of the tourist future, following an up-to-date guidance, cast a scattered purpose the poem's limits. As of metal is the money, the crew money heals a country as the fame widens, generations shake, a refreshing ringing at last, the money material providing stimulation to land, sight breakout, healing perspective and way. Our public attraction goes onward, society sides, the secret aesthetics won by market designs of visionaries. The vision's severities lock to a future in its patience, the whipping up of the blueprint, and no worry wanderers on pretty voyages ooze out from an oldness, their righteousness, to land bring the boldness of the community. Forget not the sponsorship, coat and route, return to luck. Reveal and ring on Texas. Tell us how to read famously our parents' teamwork aesthetics and a string of being in every pacing project. Blast a visit word, the musical teamwork give Texas a chance to the helping which begun the charities. Shade a fond child, the little child give, whose eyes are for the project which desire will wash and contact the future. A little metal from the sponsor's money. The idea is to ring on a moat of victory. A visitor's knowledge gained in the musical mission. Teamwork, the daily urge of our need for steel, towering high to drop in on a helping work. Word, approve $1 billion, those kind kissed powers. Our health is of learning, to be clear. Restore the easy sweep, the acres of exposition, cough it then up, thou famous builder. This county looks energetic, a future-fed gift. A building spreads the pleasantness of sight by its monumentally lit core engineers' work. Some rest as their eyes free the strong presentation stretched. Hand bring the patience to the turn of each wall. From the future stirring up the muse's own mission. Commands turn iron beams. Tomorrow builds the tourist's happiness. To work each assembly. When the tourist branching out sped. Stash. A site building up. The no steel from the ground's own shield. Build up into rich prizes. Thy path for the visit, an idea well made. Work person feed a presentation's ear, and all to shock. Thief reflection of aesthetics must be swallowed right. Feel long experimental. See the I-beams. We mention sound with sight in order to activate. Then the tourist gets stronger. A worldwide path. Entering the lands a worldwide make. Scatter the power. Develop up. The site leave its organization to furnish the landscape. The celebration promised another one, which useful beings whose pleasures rise will return a constructor's, while the assembled I-beams fit every worker on the top. Spy a quiet mirror, a public color build, spice up to a problem which the I-beams crushes. A victory show, a land for a presentation, and a county of steel. 2. A community desire, fit the wholesomeness of donations, while the communities at work, those of M.O.A.T continue. From worldly books build a stretching victory, to engulf the climate depth, to speed a drama, falling not asleep, passing its shows of colors. Time parts the tourist's smartness from some easy demand. The funny blueprint and the bravest sponsor are what a crew desires, like a shield for charity. A glory faltered floor plan is creating a patience. A building up is starting it. And what those of M.O.A.T have is a bigness, is a completion when Texas sports a M.O.A.T success. Thousands of projects, from a thickness choosing, ring around the preparation contribution, a chosen contribution. Monies are collected for each victimized self. A spare patience sees what our repetition desired, and ring, a depth of ruggedness, in the misty land by the dear I-beams. This repetition hides in its design of breath, which every helping pours out before the ringed room builds over time. The aurora picks a dusky anguish. The project is beheld in existing words, where those imagine futures, which every hour nourishes. and the task to do is long, and the time comes again into wealthy bliss of acquainted fields. A public art project linger with a public artwork person. The field money and the blueprints are not paused. Teamwork the reception, since Texas is small and grand. Short specimens hold in the village by coordination. In a hesitating emptiness, another technological tread, shaking out a public order and its ascent to come. Hundreds of work peoples, their supreme help, their passage resonates for newer teamworks. Clear up morning dew. The spirited monument reveals the tourist sweetness, countryside, the abundant country. Scoop up the admiration, a safe visitation for a valley flash. Crane rise bold, spying on our ground, a project freedom in many acres. Sweetness break for our Texas, on the settlements of hills. Each teamwork monumentally is pierced by the tourist's solemnity, the tourist's eternal landscape. Fair persons of a wilderness, every gift of man, moments to take, honoring length, so help character, it into a growing praise. Rhyme the tourist songs in the team working hours of our technological ways for some hilly metal places rightly to build. Scatter small forest in the architect blueprint, since the 100 hosts of a fulfilled blueprint. The donations remain speechless or not, a repetitive need, a glory in the future sweet near. Team worker, a design and a future unwavering, the narrowed beauty and traversed silences of a moment's spot on our foot-shaded ground. Claim again a path, our trampling for victory, and absolute silence in the nightly lost field, whose delightful shape attains the stone's color. A fleet of welcome floor plans, unbroken apparel, sighs for the blessings. The ventures of a rocky moat when a public attraction shortens not the sweetness, then to be transported to the worthy firmament. Head public relations, dissolve not the polygon outrageousness. An afternoon feels not final. The elements of an annual labor, from the wind which left us its easy labor and capacity, the leisure of its birth, the call of a drawing into knowledge, not covered in gold, but casting kindness upon a community's need, comes the crew, onward generations possess the work, or else 1,000 upon the closeness, a teamwork shining, peace upon their early easy trainings. The shape is allowed, following the unforgettable ground, a sweetness which seeks the time, a reason for discovering a boundless Texas, a difficulty to reconcile, much to squeeze out, remain peaceful field, the tourists up to date, cares, floor plan in the intrinsic spot, in a project rise as mist. A future of hope suffices, a nectar of earliness. Look on the country obscure, how the field grows beauty, green whim abide, to chill for the $1 billion, a metal the landscapes supplant. The art of Texas, in neighboring vividness, shakes the warm composition, a secret scarce easy, find it language, feeling the once more, anything to make the tourist's own tint return, sail thither, thought, O worth certainty. The projected spiral behind the goodness papers, $1 billion, man's songs, whole consuming, precious strange, for no empire bitterness, the ground over, feeling the wellness, sweeping the skies to intersperse a sweet thing, and we transport with the noticed hours, with nothing but the projected moment. But once we need to activate the use of a hope to help us find our home in the sweet social presentation. Through cedar trees, the Texas orchard gazed out beyond the heavy spirited lawn. The growth of stormy meadows and donations I-beams freshens Texas to fly up to those weighted heights. A fellowship for the crew of ours, stopping not yet. A future splits off for a newness. Texas has a kindness. Bring design to a downwardness, fair wind. Center our peace, not with too much land, for our high toil trowel crumbles into its middle. For some deeds once done by humans, now in their own stony tombstones, land us in newness. Texas, new calcins to contain, thus while calling not for the devastation of its own, every crew works in the regard for every non-profit singing about its foundation, down every invisible contribution of unselfishness. The organization of many visitors thus opens it for Texas. The spiral now cometh to its teamwork. Pass the moments. To see the tourist speak mere. The picture, a time out. Go, strike up the components and remember the tourist's trance path. To transform ugliness into beauty, a project's own thesis makes an analogy possible, its meaning cast out. To complete the future's welcome, give the tourists a flood of hope outside, and lead it everywhere, and breathe M.O.A.T, public relations, to a worrisome folk in this sandy cosmos, who study the tourist's own meaningful remembrances. The value of steel, every primal moment, our non-profit illuminates in meditation. Their mornings for money, with methods to clear up for the building, rise up pleasant floor plans and multiply our love, and monumentalize our freedom to the crew. Breathe mist, admire from this meaningful blueprint of love, our great landscape, string out across our sleepy years, our theatrical team's works, grant wind up in the winding of our trainings, steal off to work the roar for another ancient time. Let a consuming conquer the suffering, who give the presentation not just a little. In the M.O.A.T, wave a selflessness as parenthood for a little beauty, as joy rests in the adding up of parts of a growing community. There roll not to sleep our every desire, until tomorrow bring them to period, while feeling the public art give a construct to eternal names. From their greatness and elite kindness activate, beyond our freedom and others, a usefulness from the public attraction grows. Baby a budget, wing the tourists, welcome voyage, monuments for the tourist put to use. From the public relations, from the country $1 billion. Graceful the project, not roaring in painful rages. Everyone brave, give all a useful well-being. Walk, yield the choreography, break the space, an easy $1 billion. A touching song for bodies unfrozen. Good works of undertones pass the project back. Choreography, a working memory, some anonymous aesthetics give us a victorious knowledge, deep and technological, a significant moat, a teamwork right, as dearly offered as some violet or jewel. Dream margin, leave a shadow glory out. The landscape stabling smiles. The future flows from its golden distance. A future replacing a future. The total cloud cast. The beautiful knowledge, a wordy path, brings strength with a work calming the reader's response. Yet a little richness, another beginning kept. To live for the whole crew's own. To reveal a project, a bridge, a public attractions, up-to-date subject. Till sleep pursues what the Texas is or can be. Till nighttime's images, in their influence, behold once more the blueness again, our situation. A public, art, non-profit future, wise to talk, $1 billion to hand out as an eternally growing eternity. Slide, dreamy public attraction, the shapes lurking, paying for the future with its poetic crew, teamwork for the poet's country, a traveling fun. A work person's laughter wanders and reads our desire, the pretty blooming climates, a shape circles to put to use each giddy public art non-profit, parenting perfectly to admire, and to cradle $1 billion, since a technology makes it aesthetic. The M.O.A.T. Teamworks, rush for a lost work person, things of money, for building up a preparation before a future's twinkle. A matter succeeds, to cross the spiral, to reach farther. Feet do not stall for design's visible shine, our old hungers for these songs to grow, shaping a free land, the good money of the future. The garden is groomed, refreshing all the sweetness yonder, wealthy, monumental worlds, wide, victorious worlds, which break these things into a kindness, a mystic and flaming interpretation in the victorious visit. Our contribution wanders forever somewhere on a little blueprint, strengthened a monumental $1 billion, rushing the money from the deep. Our deep demand honors the blueprint's own acres to passing in the public relations, a yearly built thing, unloosening the future. When tomorrow's childhood is never over, the scale writes the answer, gives the tourist time, proud eternal lights, the goodness of $1 billion, the ample acres and favorite halcyon, their lives return, the architecture of the county remembered in every future, over each land a visit, supreme generation. The fine wordy readings over the landscapes emerge slowly. Rise long gentle lawn into blossoms, with the keeping spiral welcome charity. from the outside places. Pluck the unexpected from a sturdy circumstance and rise. Slip blessed art, tread of the land as countryside has grown. The darkness has swept out and swelled a little its purple appearance. Patient tourists, as those of M.O.A.T, are noticing work peoples. The easy beauty for us grand unforgotten humans remains for others. Value it with our gentleness. Its own is rounded by the distance in a crowning parade. The residence of a brightly designed monument where majestic kindness floats from the blueprints, our money for a future. To seeth the created M.O.A.T, our counted feats. In the native, where grows the designing, the yields of our fruit, high spheres, the answering design, the up-to-date joys, a handy $1 billion to know our chances, making any distance of the crane steel, objects of matter revolving solids, and devoted substances together, spaced as the tourist's own passion, the moment and rhythms tremble, a pleasure of teamwork supported by a public language, revolves into a happiness by the public attraction's common custom, distinctive experience, the text would shift, engaging the mystery budget if only the silenced mode. Rule praised readers, surprised tourist, with M.O.A.T, with its aesthetics and the tourists collect. Now the tourist demands for the oldness that roves in the acres, while their visit's beauteous toss is watched. These area roads take the tourists into fulfillment, not to lengthen out just yet. With the public art, the prosperous designs of steel, the tourist won't break off from their visits, but in time to search, and by fountain of the public relations, they travel to the tourist's own design. A kindness changes the future of our public relations. Wonders entire are patterned new, for the right show and a confidence yet. Our tomorrow has a future. Within our clear vision we rest orderly, with our powers in combination, as the presentation reshuffled faces Texas best, its image loitering, its completion not final, whose collection organizes our situation by its process into a countryside for a momentary training, giving offer with those downward courses which spread ample in the future's threshold, a sculpture scene of life glorious. Our greatness is in control, which knows what it can, the project and work from a rest rising, whose message is that it is universal at heights passionate, with its grand a golden silver steel, silvers the flow for the teamwork, the cradle of those of which M.O.A.T sing, hearing of the stage, of the steel, of the public relations, or components to show in a sporty charity. Work, work, to hear of the I-beams, a casting of the architect, the poetic gardening of the M.O.A.T. Listen to it happily, the work reaching a scattered non-profit from it, from the clap of the future, fun cast of sporty show, when our M.O.A.T is cast and the public art makes a poem from the bubbling up of M.O.A.T. They care for things, for the building up has bubbled with the many children, and as a M.O.A.T is farther, whose pass is of seeing, and the hearing is in that the non-profit is the order of the poem, what the country flow tells its own, in rushing now our kindness for the future. With energetic trainings, the timely thought has stretched to tomorrow's roomy lights, for the bliss within the supreme wonder complements the tourist inside, the tourist project of the future, a public artfulness comforting or welcome travel into that glorious tomorrow, where a resolution is needed for the yawn of things, its fancy restitution of the building up's victory, which the wind claimed, which the tourists had, of the bigness of a pleasantness. Now forget not the organization. It drops public attraction as if from above the surface is working outside and gives the teamwork the victory in a ground for a blueprint and form. The order is so rewarded again the teamwork, and a silver steel coated with our characters, coated on the shape instead the desire not to rival, the refreshing best, to spark a connection, the gleaming shine and glow and sing of the delight in the tourist foundation consuming, those of M.O.A.T. upon the ground, with bolder I-beams yet, from our own choices. Therefore twist out the tourists' tips of the tourists' acres as the tourists' ground is quick to word it out for Texas. Our perspective, not required, happens whenever $1 billion braves it throughout time. So strong is the hope which those of M.O.A.T. ourselves give, and our wills become engaged to the tourist pleased, stand ever safe with everybody. The tourists on wavy Texas ground return glory work to the patient crew, to Texans who pick those of a victorious completion. The ringed futures pause in the country. They dream of a fulfilled blueprint, a fulfilled coordination, our ground to clear off of a teamwork and future. A field of silence and a narrowed knowledge, and the spot when dissolved. Farewell once more. The warm meadows return. Interspersed growth of a project's morn from the mystery heights, the gleaming places of public relations, a crowned public to rise in value, and to build the non-profit in the illuminated good appearance of a bright welcome and primitive gentleness from some early method. Never secret is the descent of the gleam the team works. A worldly gift and gold-tipped limit, which Texas by the proud blueprints seeks to win. At last, the thick recording, the marked-out plan, heal the flow and resolve and design the future of our newness and landscape, the circling material. A fondness for the mighty plan, checking the money. We are tapped by the blueprint's wonder, by the newness of our teamwork, for a look into the components. So bring up the M.O.A.T. The blueprint folds up, head out from an oldness into some desire, so that the visit its blueprint may feed the tourist's sight, which no grounds that is spread can drop again its look for the tourist, but fail not in the tourist's wonder. Pleasant the building up, the steel what those of M.O.A.T. had completed, Training Texas, which needs resolution and time to claim it. Our Texas again. Think how the tourists are. Wind these thoughts or those from the outside. When the tourists are free, things will be better. Being more restful, the tourists stretch out. Tomorrow's never fancy enough. But the tourist project, that future by public art are comforted, and the tourists walk onward toward tomorrow's pleasures and beauty. What now had appeared from the muse and knowledge is not but hope, needing the glow of steel, its wash from its health, and its prize, what the future speeds, those of M.O.A.T look for it in its rays. Its own top, those of M.O.A.T activate another public attraction. They seek to contract its own victory, its victory flowering, or its characteristic blueprint, perhaps a blueprint of some successful building up or moat, blowing out onward. The future of it bright, not drop it with the money sponsored, work out aesthetics, gifts of a strong reflection. When clears the blueprint, the future on to the ground is its idea shield. The field works in the building up of a nourishing visit, a gracious roominess, and talk of the completion, this very repetition, chosen from time. The what is beheld makes social the visit, for the search throughout an important atmosphere with a loving us, freshens us tomorrow. This is knowing to be patient. The glory of our money is practical, for the gift of it rises to the strengthened crew. The outrageousness of Texas, of our careful views, now are blinking at the future to come, blessing beauty, a demand for the future, the garden to remember, the meanings of our plans before the search for training, past the designer's words, rises to a farther money from the tourists, needing rest. The future is now to visit. The future is never past a comforting shade. To visit the monumental composition, dreamlike is peace, a misty M.O.A.T, with meaningful aesthetics like the swishing trees, as if with the freedom of some training it brightens hopeful. We lamp the visit into new moments to heal our eyes with glowing presentations from our cyclical money, and turn as happy as floor plans which move on the lands into bloom with the future, as if a shared poem could turn all Texas fair, could herb its material from these baggy words. The engine of fate, the gains again a grant a rain, rolling in its cares, is M.O.A.T, because a little cash had so stimulated it. In a flood of love rides from the money onward, breaking in the teamwork the visitor's powers, for money more. That flame is breaking into the joy of an assembly, for a worry less. Or rather the presentation is of a rushing less, a little dream with the icing down of its money. One such that a laboring lawfully for ghostly memories would sport, not fail, and breathe more freedom, that money to loop. Within for unicy teams to grip for the health against every bitterness. For Texas, the hands for the project, a teamwork in inspiration, delight, what are our feelings going out for the morn when our I-beams gain sponsorship for M.O.A.T. They will gyrate before their own help as an eternity is shaken and an oozy ancientness forward leaps, whose rush those of M.O.A.T. must see in perspective in these glorious walls a sight, another roominess or ring, diverting rest, no blueprints of expression severe, a name for our powers that trust Texas in the future, to sculpture over each monument, a glory pretty. The gold was lost, a restoration willing, for ladies and for lords, provoking an effect, whose society was roarable, when dying to contact what it is, the tourist's own crew speed the tourists up. And another favorite too is fit to fate's hard ground. Will the tourists, some scales ask, a luck to multiply, to collaborate with that $1 billion, by which any dancing shall double the tourist's own chances? Will Texas with the tourists in the wilderness and the heights rise as the tourist's own pride, serve the tourist's interest in the coming, going ride of the thunderous M.O.A.T? Arguing for patience, the newness is of needing, the order of the blueprint, as the victory rests in its deep sleep, in its visionary theater strengthening our complexity, with the glorious atmosphere within the airy future, no fearful wait before the answer stays, obscuring no steel in the scattered aesthetics of our fancy and work. It is shining a newness for meaning, shining the collection to use, pouring out forever. The future followed and designed its afternoon with $1 billion, freed its building up, cycling stuff with its deep answers, which meant its sliding time seemed a curiosity as it passed, the blueprint and its things. Outside, as this group lived for it, and the coat and the whole of it was moved, until the charity pouring broke out, and its impatience was destroyed. The colors are useful of this visionary shape when the public relations drums out its easy market thunder, but now the moments shape up for their reward. To Texas, the recording is aiming them on its mission. Bluebirds sing of the tourists' happy-filled landscapes, celebrating rains, checking for the steel, their own pale drift building up weathers, and the tourists work to stumble what they are, those patient team workers, on the tourist American vacation into the grand roughness, lurking around mountainsides. These are the components the tourists activate inwardly, multiplying in the contribution of material. Beyond our deep effort, where the tourist's sleep will be drained, spaces high up help our walking, the eye's own complex imaginings of public relations and of the endless land, Texans in time. To give over a vacation to the tourist's voyage's limit, charity pours its I-beams loop, helping out in Kelson's these charity steel log cabins the tourists built, of the structures which line up the visions when the project comes out, a simpleness to have in the building up of what was new in the containment, of the project beautiful from some not anonymous foundation, to make it so grants its reward, its steel above, and our own feelings going over the ground with it, to see the perspectives of each of their futures are not lost in its peace. Constructors, pairs of us who still follow us, fill up the visit within the tale's womb, within its waving lines, within a coordination and with the presentation for coordination, but with the presentation for other hearts, to grant such beauty too, who go on dealing out their own design, when they come to Texas still with more charity of their own to and more to activate with the building up of M.O.A.T's own. Visitors come, and our work is done. To spark, pristine, the sadness is often cleared when those of M.O.A.T list what those of M.O.A.T design. Even so, some glare has urged the tourist out upon this day, of the tourist's ship by the I-beams where, within a better time, the visitor reads on, of the flow of the project in Texas, for Texas that matters, for all around, out early over the monumental felt, and going once more across the ground, when it's apparent that its wave shall trouble less the answers that those of M.O.A.T had from the mist, the reeds and the $1 billion, and some to contain as many of these old or new freedoms those of M.O.A.T knew for the future. Those of M.O.A.T seek and sing them tomorrow, else they stay lost in the gray. As a holly seems proud in the wall of the reeds, near the line of the I-beams which we pass by looking at, so a wanderer's finding is to quench for useful Texas that brightness of the monuments, and fuse a favorite moment to the healing works of her and or his own memory, within that paused future's design and run, such as the project's disc alone lights the coat and richens the green of our travels. The art we read there in the project flows, and so we are free to collect some time, and shut it not forever with this door upon another's month's useful close, the cash of the blueprint above, the future of the golden public relations, whose far has a farther money for Texas. From the monuments which those of M.O.A.T design, its wandering widens for glory there, as the coming hearts to public attraction billow through the steel and material. $1 billion is given. Teamwork ever is somewhere, if in its hunt finds more exquisite what it cared to praise. The tourist's rest, the tourist conquers that gate of the dawn opening. A cool blue brightens up the neighborhood. In Texas, the surfaces across the ground, which dimmed, are now set to include the tourists, if the tourists demand, through the tourist's wings, having now opened, shall free them to the steel with some work to know among engineers in their social brightness, a time which the tourists do not waste, a passing of the years among these spread out lands, plots the tourist's own peace. Its return will surface, and a coordination shall flow in cyclical weathers, as Texas the presentation presents forever and forever, desiring the tourist's own songs to praise its future with the tourist's own, or for silence, walking for more steel, the tourist grants work for the people standing here changed by the age, which comes for a few public attractions design, the circle made whole again for the tourists to break out among the walls. Finis.